All right. Well, this is it. It's time.
It is.
It's pest control time.
It is.
So help me out.
Yes. Let's bring on Aaron.
You're so lame. Oh, Aaron Gottsch is here. Hey, Aaron. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. I see you got a pretty penny above your head, but if you look closely, I don't think that's a penny. What is that thing?
Well, um, that's to show the scale of the size of a bed bug.
Oh,
Give people an idea of the size of what a bed bug is.
Oh,
oh,
gross.
That is an adult bed bug.
I
Ew.
I am gonna vomit. First thing Saturday morning. I ain't even had my first sip of coffee yet. Oh my goodness. All right, so Aaron from Prevent A Pest. Tell us a little about yourself and your company, what you do.
Um, my name's Aaron Gottsch. I'm from Cherokee. Um, I have a business partner. His name is Luke Haig, and we do pest control, preventative pest control.
Excellent.
That's
So you
great.
help prevent them, and of course you neutralize them on the spot.
Yep.
Absolutely. And from what I'm realizing, we need pest control here in Oklahoma.
Oh man, you need pest control everywhere you go.
Oh, no.
You don't need it in Canada?
Okay.
Okay.
I
It
agree.
freezes?
I agree.
You
Right.
do? Okay. In Canada, we do not need pest control.
You got no pests.
Not
But-
like you do here in Oklahoma.
Okay. You got all right. We've had enough of this conversation. All right. Okay, so let's just get into it. So why obviously since she's saying, Ben, you do need it moving down here.
That's
so
right.
That we can do. We're gonna do a little Q&A. So why get pest control services?
Right.
Let's say you are from Canada. You just moved here, Oklahoma. Explain to the foreigner, why you need pest control.
That's right.
Well, prevention is always better than after the fact, trying to come in and solve an infestation. You're gonna have a whole lot more trouble trying to solve a problem after the fact than just trying to prevent it in the first place. They get a stronghold, and then it's hard to conquer because they'll lay eggs. There's a lot more to it than just spraying. I mean, you're going to have to go in and do vacuuming and all kinds of things in many cases, flush them out.
Okay. And how long, like for example, let's say you didn't do the prevention, you already have a pest control problem. How long does it take to eliminate the problem?
It really depends on the situation. The conducive conditions at each place is different. It's different from house to house. There's never going to be two situations that are the same, and um, it fully depends on what kind of a pest you're dealing with. So, it could be weeks, it could be months. And repeat treatments are going to be what gets you there. You're not going to most of the time you're not going to get it with just one single treatment.
Right.
So then, having said that, how often do you have to treat the problem or the issue?
We, if you've got a bad infestation, you're probably going to have to do something monthly for a little while.
Okay.
If it's not too bad, you can sometimes handle it quarterly. But I would
Okay.
recommend somebody doing quarterly because the pesticides that we use are designed to break down gradually over time. And 90 days is the window that
Okay.
most of the ones we use. That 90 days is about how long their effectiveness is good for. And as that 90 days passes, I mean, it gets less and less effective, but it's still effective
Right.
enough to, maintain control.
Okay.
All right.
90 days. And then how does your spray work with if you have pets around the house?
Well,
How
lots
does
of
it
times
affect
people
them?
are like, is this safe to spray?
Right.
And we don't really in the pest management industry, we don't really like to talk about stuff being thought of as safe because you're hiring a certified applicator to go into your home to handle a poison. And
Right.
the idea is that you just have to be responsible with that poison, like how you use it in moderation.
Right.
Um, it, as long as you're responsible with it, and you, you don't allow people to make contact with it and let it dry, um, it's acceptable, and it's safe at that point when it's dry. It's just you don't want to be misleading people into thinking that when it's still wet that it's a safe chemical, because
Right.
that you've got to be careful with it. That's why you have a certified applicator apply it for you, or
Absolutely.
you follow the directions um, that are given on the container.
Right. Okay.
So,
Well, yeah.
kind of going into that, I know typically a lot of pest control usually is spraying around the baseboards of the house to kind of help obviously eliminate foot traffic or pet traffic in areas that you did spray. What other kind of methods of pest control is available besides just kind of spraying along the baseboards that you guys do?
Dusting helps a lot, and it'll hold up for a long period of time. Usually, in most cases, better than sprays, just because it's designed to um, go into the cracks and crevices where it's undisturbed, and um,
Oh.
it can be a very effective way to treat for pest infestation.
Okay. And then obviously, since you are talking about these type of chemicals, like for you, obviously you have to take precautions, right? Because you're going to be around these, I'm assuming, cancer-causing chemicals all day long.
Um, we try to use stuff that's not considered a carcinogen,
Okay.
um, but I mean the biggest thing is just wearing the proper PPE for the chemical, and that goes for anybody that's handling pesticides, regardless of whether you're a certified applicator or you're a homeowner. You should always um, wear gloves.
Okay.
If it tells you you should wear a respirator or mask, I would encourage that, and never ever mix pesticide stronger than what it's intended for. The reason why they put that on the bottle is they've done the testing, and they know um, what at what level is acceptable to kill the pests that are labeled on the bottle, and it's
Right.
not necessary to mix it hotter, because you're just wasting chemical, and you're making it dangerous if it were to drift back onto yourself. And so at the levels that they've posted on the bottle, it makes it where it's less of a risk to the applicator.
Okay.
Right.
So that's also kind of a hint for all the DIY,
Yeah,
do-it-yourselfers that think, we'll just add a little more.
I actually had a
yeah,
situation like that.
Ooh,
you're really just wasting chemical, and it's against the law. You
okay.
you don't want to mix it hotter than what it
Right.
says. I mean, it's a
Huh. So is this actually
no,
one of those cases where more is not better? Okay.
no.
Got it. All right. So we kind of talked about how you treat a little bit, and we're getting more into this, but how does someone, prevent future infestations? I mean, do you help in that process?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think is exclusion work. The homeowner can do those kind of things themselves too. Making sure that the weather strip around your doorway and stuff seals up good. Uh, don't leave the windows open. Uh, Check for little holes around the outside of your house. Those entry points are going to make one of the biggest differences, because if
Hmm.
they can gain entry and get in there and get into areas where they're undisturbed. I mean, they're hard to get to, and they can cause you an infestation where you can't treat. And it'll take a lot of time, because you're gonna have to treat all those areas, and the idea behind it is that you're going to kill off their food source. And so another thing you want to do is eliminate um, their water source. You don't want to have water water laying around. It's even a good idea as far as pets go to not leave, uh, food and water laying around if you
Uh,
don't have to.
sure. Okay. Um, let's see here. As far as, what precautions do you take when performing pest control services? What kind of
Um,
precautions?
I mentioned the PPE thing, but
Yeah.
another thing that I'll say is when you hire a pest control company to come in, uh, there's a certain level of trust you got to have with that person that's
Right.
in your home and doing that kind of work. But one of the most important things to me is that person would watch out and be cautious of what they're spraying, in your house,
Right.
especially if you've got kids and there's toys laying around or people don't move their stuff out away from the wall or clothes. You don't
Right.
want somebody going in your house that's not mindful of those things, those obstacles that are laying around. You don't want them spraying poison on your on your items, your possessions.
Absolutely. And then do you treat only the inside of the house, or do you go outside the house as well?
We treat the outside of the house as well.
Okay.
We have backpack sprayers that we spray the perimeter. Um, we try to create a barrier around the outside. There's a lot of houses where we just treat the exterior. We can
Mhm.
maintain it with a barrier on the outside because they're not having an issue inside,
Right.
and that helps with the prevention. Just keep them from coming in to start with, and we can also bait on the outside around the perimeter, so that helps too.
So that would be a different chemical on the outside than what you use on the inside, correct?
In some cases, it's the same chemical, but yes,
Okay.
there are some chemicals we use outside that sometimes you can't use inside, or we just
Right.
choose not to use them inside for various reasons.
Okay. And then you also treat attics, I would imagine.
Yeah, we'll do dusting, and um, there are a few chemicals we can use in an attic, but some chemicals we can't use, but we do that.
Okay.
So
Good.
one of the things kind of been, especially in the real estate world, is a hot topic, and we've seen it already. And it's kind of like if this word is ever uttered, they want nothing to do with the home.
Right.
And that word starts with a T. It's a dirty word.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about termites.
Yes.
Well, um, I think one thing that is not, I don't know if I'd say unique about us, but something that we focus a lot on is um, we do termite bait stations, and the neat thing about it is it gives you feedback. If you have us go out there yearly and inspect those stations, um, our software that we use to invoice the customer, they have a portal and they're able to go in there and see the activity at every corner of their house, like all the way around the
Oh.
house. It'll show the level of activity that you've got. That's something you don't really get from a liquid treatment, and so that's kind of why we like the bait idea. You're able to see um, the consumption on each one of those stations, and see them eating the bait instead of your house.
Ah. Okay. So the bait
That bait
system. Mm-hmm.
that bait is more desirable than the wood that's in the house. They've designed the bait so that it's more palatable to them than eating on the wood of your house. So
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of a people are hearing this in that industry of either you spray,
Right.
when the new home builder comes out for the foundation work, or you do the bait system.
Right.
So kind of tell us the pros and cons or the differences between the two, and what may be better than the other.
I think, in my opinion, the bait system is the way to go because as long as you're maintaining that yearly inspection contract with a pest management professional, they're going out and checking it, and as that bait is consumed, they're replacing that bait as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a liquid treatment is just going to degrade in the soil over time, and it's for a number of years, but it's it gets weaker and weaker over time, and the bait system's that's not the case because as long as they're going out and checking it and replenishing the bait, it's always there.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So you don't
but
have.
it has a transfer effect, and so when they consume it, they actually take it back to the colony, and that's what gets them is it transfers to the rest of them.
It's like ants.
Yep, it's just like treating ants.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
All right. So
I hear pros and cons about bait systems, so
yeah. Okay.
that was
So,
good information.
and then let's see. I know just as far as termites are concerned, if you're buying a new home and all of a sudden termites are coming in the house, you notice the mud channels outside. That all is covered under warranty. So errands come in usually. You tell us. So those warranties only go for a certain number of years. In your opinion, when should you say, okay, you've been in your house for a while, it's time to go ahead and re-up and spray?
Right.
But what kind of time frame are you looking at?
Well, and a lot of people don't realize this. It really depends on um, it depends on the contract, the specific contract that a person has with their pest control company that did it. Usually, those contracts will be, for a year or longer, and it's renewable, and so you need to renew that every year. And if you don't keep that up, you don't have a warranty, and so
Okay.
it's important to maintain that, to have that coverage, so that they'll come out and reapply if for some reason you end up with that problem. Because if you're not renewing it and they're not able to keep an eye on it, they don't know what's changing. And if you've got liquid treatment out there and you go out and work the flower bed, you're disrupting the soil that's along the foundation, and they have no idea whether that happened or not. And so you have a place there where termites could gain entry, and they can get through a crack that's the thickness of your fingernail, 1/32 of an inch.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
So,
I can't remember exactly what was the rest of your question. I don't.
Oh, it was just what was my question? My brain's
how
already moved on.
often? Like how many years?
Oh yeah. So
Oh,
if the new home builder, they don't only supposed to cover you X number of years, and then you as the homeowner, this is assuming you already know, you're in a new home, or et cetera, or maybe you know the date from the prior homeowner, and you just moved in. What's the yearly time frame which you need to start spraying for termites again?
Right.
It's really dependent on the chemical that they used, but I personally would start getting serious about it, like probably 8 to 10 years. I'd start really considering that it's something you might want to look into.
Okay.
Okay.
There are some chemicals that will probably last a little bit longer than that, but it's really it. 8 to 10 years is pretty much the kind of the range that I would say.
And I've never thought to ask this, but since you brought this up prior, with the prior chemical breakdown structures, about 90 days. Why and how in the world does a termite chemical last so long?
Because it's in the soil, and it's not out where the ultraviolet light can degrade it. You don't have the direct sunlight. You don't have the rain and different things. And they actually design some of those chemicals with synthetics that make them seep a certain way into the soil. And
Okay. Interesting.
they're a most of the ones nowadays are a non-repellent, and so those insects will travel through them not knowing it. Where some of the insects from the past, some of the pesticides from the past were more of a repellent, and they could sense where they're at. So if you didn't do as good of a job with your application, they could sense that chemical there and go around it.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay, so let's do this.
Okay.
Let's get into the weeds here of two common problems. Let's do these two. Then if we have time, we could talk about some others, but this is usually pretty common. So this it's kind of a short version of how to focus on roaches, and then we're going to focus on bed bugs. Those are two really, topics people are just like, about. So again, if you're watching right now and you've got friends maybe dealing with this, and you think, oh, this is really good information, so-and-so's going to want to hear this, hit the share button, text them, whatever, tell them to tune in at this point, because this is going to get gross. And we're going to find out, because the whole idea of bed bugs, because I travel for work, I'm always freaked out now. I'm just looking under the mattress and everything. So let's get into both of those. We'll start with roaches first.
Um, Roaches. The thing is you don't want a food source, obviously. Um, Moisture is a problem. Like if you have leaky pipes or water, standing water, I mean that kind of stuff is going to attract them. And so, the first thing you need to do is try to cut off all that. Like if you can get your food put away, like in plastic containers, like seal it up really good where they don't have something to eat. Usually, whenever we go in and treat a problem like that, we'll start out by baiting them. Um, and then we come back and we'll spray with like um, uh, an insect growth regulator along with some pesticide so that it'll keep them from being able to reproduce.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I would say the biggest thing is just you need to cut off their food supply, and that includes keeping your trash can sealed up. Like have a top on it. Taking the trash out. Like don't have stuff laying around where they can feed off of it.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's go into
Ugh.
what's over your shoulder there. These are the
Right.
nasty bed. And so this is funny. When I always thought of bed bugs, I thought this is my ignorance of this thing. I thought you couldn't see them. But they were invisible little bugs that crawl on you, bite you, whatever. But no, you can actually see them, and they're actually pretty large. So let's
Yeah.
dive into with bed bug infestations, how hard it is to get rid of them, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It can be very difficult. I mean, because they will retreat back to baseboards. They'll crawl under baseboards and get inside the wall. They'll hide behind wallpaper, like where the seams, maybe have come undone. They'll just slide in back there behind the paper and behind your um, door frames. I mean, they'll get in places that you would have never thought. And uh, matter of fact, there's some places where we've had to roll the carpet back, and they were 2 or 3 feet underneath the pad.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay. And
Yeah.
again, over your shoulder is actually the size of bed bugs in relation to a penny. So you actually can physically see them.
Some of them, and they'll lay eggs, and it can be difficult to see at times, but those are a couple of adults that have recently had a blood meal.
Okay. So they're
Wow.
like ticks. They're fat and happy.
And
Yeah.
they're okay. So how I know them to be is that they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if you do have bed bugs, you'll get bit 3 times, all in a row, sort of, relatively close together, and they're reddish in color.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't react to being bit, so they just a lot
Okay.
of times you won't even know that you have them. There are certain people that have reactions, and I mean they'll be itching and have bumps all over. I mean,
Right.
um, it can be a really tough situation, and I feel for these people that are dealing with it because it's a real nuisance. And
So how is the process of getting rid of them?
um, I would say the first thing that people should try to do is uh, start vacuuming, and especially if you'd have like a vacuum cleaner with a bag where you could remove that bag right after you have done this vacuuming. Get it out in the trash, outside in the trash can. Don't keep it in your trash can in the house. And
Right.
then vacuuming is a big part of it where you can knock out a bunch of it. And you're gonna have to lift your mattress and your box spring and get that all opened up where you get the cover off the bottom of your mattress. They will get in underneath like all those little seams and stuff and uh, hide about anywhere you can think of. But if you vacuum, you can really decrease the population immensely. So I would start with that, and I would not use over-the-counter stuff that you buy like at Walmart or any box store. Uh,
Right.
they're really resistant to pesticides, and so that's what makes them so hard to kill. Is they have basically evolved being people trying to spray them with counter pesticide.
So what you're also alluding to, we didn't talk about this earlier, was that the industrial stuff that you use is far better and more potent than the stuff you get over the counter.
It's designed for those bugs that are, I'm sorry, those bed bugs that are um, resistant to pesticides.
Ah.
Um,
Hmm.
the other big thing is you don't want to go just spraying anything on, especially on a mattress. It needs to be something that is labeled to do so, and we're cautious of that and make sure we aren't spraying something on there that you're going to make contact with. Um,
Right.
so that's why I think it's such a big deal that you call upon a professional to take care of a bed bug issue, because it can get out of hand quickly, and you don't want to spray something on a mattress that you're going to be laying on that wasn't appropriate
Yeah.
for that
Right.
application.
Okay.
Absolutely. And is it true that bed bugs only travel at night, or are they out during the day as well?
I've seen them out, any time of the day.
Anytime. Okay. So that's another myth I heard.
Yeah, sure. I know you always hear stuff about bed
I'm
bugs.
getting itchy.
It's
Yeah.
it's like we're infested with bed bugs in this
I'm
every
like, oh my
corner.
gosh.
But you did say, you and I had a conversation before
Mm-hmm.
that when hotels get bed
Mm.
bugs, it's a big problem. I mean, if you thought it was a
Yes.
problem at the home to get rid of, it's even worse in that situation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and going and staying at a hotel, probably one of the most important things to remember is don't lay your baggage on the bed. They put that little, fold up metal cart
Yep.
over my doorway for a reason, and if you place it up there, the bed bugs will have a harder time crawling up into your luggage than they would if you laid it on a bed that possibly has them.
Or even the
So they get
floor.
Okay,
yeah, so
right.
they'll get into your luggage and hide in the seams of the
Yeah.
luggage, and then you carry it in your house, and there they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. I can't take any more of the bed bugs. I'm gonna gross everybody out. So let's just wrap this up with give us a useful tip that for people that are either unaware of regarding pesticides or household products,
Right.
because a lot of people they'll go to Walmart, grab something off the shelf. So anything they be aware of?
I would say I'd like to talk about disinfectants. A lot of people don't realize that disinfectants are classified as a form of pesticide. Um,
I
you
didn't know
can
that.
Yeah, even a disinfectant wipe. I would say it's important that people understand that with disinfectants, dwell time really matters. And if people don't know what dwell time means, that means that when you apply a spray or you wipe with a disinfectant wipe, there's a
Mm-hmm.
certain amount of time that you need to wait, allowing that to be wet in order to kill that virus or bacteria that
Oh.
you're targeting. So you need
Hmm.
to read the labels and not just wipe the countertop off directly after you spray that chemical, because it's losing its effectiveness. You're wasting your money. If you will
Oh.
allow the dwell time, it'll kill um,
Hmm.
Makes
those
sense.
bacteria and viruses.
So that's something I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And
that's another thing we did was a lot of disinfection, and the, the important thing when you hire somebody to come in and do disinfection is that they follow those dwell times, because if the
sure.
chemical is drying too quickly, you're wasting your money.
So that brought up a great question. When looking for someone in pest control, do you have to be certified? Are you licensed? Are you regulated? What would someone be looking for?
Yes, we're regulated through the Oklahoma Department of Ag. Um, I would say if you're looking for somebody that's a quality pest control operator, the first place that I would go to look, um, if you're not hiring us, it would be um, the Oklahoma Pest Management Association, and you can visit their website at ok-pca.com,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll give you a full list of all the people that are a member of that organization.
Oh,
And the
okay.
reason why I think that is such a good resource is that those people that are in that association
Mm-hmm.
um, they're they're operating. Their goal is to operate ethically and by the standards that um, that we should be
Yeah,
upholding as the pest control industry.
absolutely. It's
Acting
like us.
responsibly.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're all regulated. So, yeah.
So basically, in a nutshell, the whole thing is you have to have, it's like anything, like your car, your home. It's a maintenance deal.
Yes.
When it comes to pest control, it's also a sealing deal of any outside entry points, from the attic, from windows, from doors, weather stripping, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you want to keep them out. It's a cleanly thing where you want to keep out food, stuff that they can eat on, and it's a timely thing. In other words, you need to get under control quick, especially when it comes to bed bugs.
Right.
The longer you wait, more of a problem you're going to have. And then there's various different chemicals you can use, that you guys use, that have a long lifespan. So depending on what it is, you're treating every 90 days. If it's termites, every 8 to 10 years. Bait system's good, spray's good. Kind of a preference deal. And then any other highlights? Was that just about it?
That's
Okay.
That's
And then
it.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Sanitation is the number one thing with pest control.
Okay. Of course, he says that, and I'm like, when I had my spider infestation, I'm like, there's nothing here to eat. I was so angry other than me. I'm like, why are you wanting to eat me? So in those cases, they can be difficult to deal with. But yeah, so entry points, you're really good. So Aaron treats our house, and he went to the attic, and he was looking for entry points everywhere. We had brown recluse that had dropped down. I found out they had dropped down from like the little vent down, and they fell into the toilet. And I'm like, how did a brown recluse get into the toilet? Why and how would it even be in there?
Right.
And right above it was the vent, exhaust vent. I'm like, he came in there and he sealed it all up
Yeah.
and sprayed that air really good. Haven't had one drop down since,
No.
and it happened a few times. But yeah, so he's
And-
got a keen eye. I mean, he spends a lot of time
Yeah.
looking, at places that probably most of your pest control guys won't do. They'll be lazy.
That's right.
And those come out and spray the chemical and then walk away. Okay, see you in 90 days. He's like, let's take a look at where they could be
Right.
coming in from. Let's try to get this resolved. And this goes for mouse, rats or roaches, spiders. Doesn't matter. It's all the same type of coverage. So, Aaron, tell us. I know you guys are based out of Northwest Oklahoma, but you've come to the Metro many times to help me and several others. So, where are you guys located?
Well, currently we're in Cherokee. My business partner lives in Cherokee, and I live in Cherokee, but I'm soon going to be moving to Medford. That's a little further east, closer
Okay.
to I-35. But we go all over. I mean, Edmond's about as far as we go south, but most north central area.
Okay. Okay, so you cover pretty much all of Northwest, North Central, and parts of Central Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not, obviously like any business, right? Depends on where your clients are located.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a case by case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can they reach out to you to tell them about tell you about their problem and what you can do about it?
Our phone number is 580-348-2020. We have a website, is wepestproof.com. And we also have a Facebook page that's Prevent A Pest.
Okay.
Okay. And
Excellent.
of course on our sites.
Yeah, and we'll show them our website here in a minute. We've got you listed under one of our preferred partners for real estate. And so yeah, so Aaron, he's been with us for a while. He's been treating our spider problem. That's getting better
Yeah.
and better. So it's a process, that's for sure, because we've been several holes and leaks we found.
That's
so they
right.
get in it, and you'll be happy to know there was a little gap under the back door. I could see the light coming in about a half inch.
I could see the light coming
Of
through.
the weather stripping. For whatever reason, it didn't go all the way to the edge. So I went to Home Depot, bought a strip out, put that in there. So that thing's sealed. So we're hoping nothing crawls in there from the patio anymore.
That's right.
And the other thing is, we didn't talk about this, but another helpful thing you can do, and also is helpful for you, right? You need a diagnostic tool to say, how bad is your problem, right? If people go out and get those little glue traps, which I believe you also provide, those little glue boards, and put them around the house. They catch insects pretty good, and that can give you an idea kind of what you're up against, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I mean that's even a great form of pest control by itself. There, you know, that is integrated pest management.
Okay, and it's funny as it's one of those deals where it's good and it's bad. It's good because it catches them, but it's bad when you see how many are in there, and then that gives you the heebie-jeebies. But what it can do is you can just try it out. So you know what? I don't think I have any pests. I don't think I have any bugs, any spiders. And you put a few of those out, and if all of a sudden you've got a dozen or 2 dozen, or in my case 3 dozen brown recluse, then you can freak out and you can call Aaron and go, dude, come take care of this.
Right.
I'm not able to sleep anymore. No, these are crawling all around my home. So anyway, so there you go. So Aaron, hey, thanks for joining us today, talking about pest control. Appreciate your time. Again, reach out to him, and he'll take care of your issues.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, so you can get Aaron, like you mentioned, this phone number. It's also on our website if you go to teamtotalrealty.com. So he's on our trusted preferred partner list.
Yes.
And so his phone number's on there, 580-348-2020. So this is all the services that he provides. Shortcut to his website. That's his truck with some of the chemicals. We caught him out there spraying. So this is him spraying our house around the corner, both inside and out. That little doorway right there that he's spraying, that I was talked about, that's the one that had the little gap that I was like, we have a glue board that's pretty close to this point right here in the door, and it always has the most spiders. I'm thinking, I bet you they're coming in there, coming across the walkway there.
That's right.
And coming in. So, and he's obviously a member of the Oklahoma Pest Management Association, which he had mentioned as well.